The Supreme Court may be about to kill Roe. Elon Musk buys Twitter, and Georgia Democrats try to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from the ballot. This is the 30th and dirtiest episode of Cancel This Show. This is Cancel This, the Dirty 30 episode, recorded mid-May 2022. That's right, 30 episodes. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Productions on Facebook. You can email the show directly as well, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of all the content we're getting out here. You can also subscribe right there on the YouTube channel, like I said, comment and share the post. We've had some sports shows out. We're gonna have a few more as well. A couple more reality TV show episodes before the summer, and then a lot more of this content as things roll along. Always plenty to talk about. And the goal will be to get out a show within every couple of weeks as opposed to monthly at this point, like we have been. So much to talk about. I want to spend time talking about cancellations, because this is a 30th episode of Cancel This. A lot of people have been canceled. A lot of things have been canceled in the last year or so. The last, let's say, 16 months since we started the show. So plenty to talk about, plenty to go over. But there are three big topics I want to start with. And we'll start with topic number one. The possible destruction of Roe v. Wade. About a 50-year, badly decided, poorly written law maybe about to be come off the books. One of the biggest laws we've ever had. Talk all about it here because there's so many different elements to this. First of all, I need to buy a bigger leftist tears tumbler for all the salty, salty tears from the salty, salty swine that are crying these tears. And honestly, I'm not the biggest abortion, pro-abortion, anti-abortion person there is. I just love when leftists cry. I do think abortion is horrible. I think it's one of the worst things that's ever been done. But people are maybe starting to wake up. Because America, the horrible, horrible place where women are forced to give birth against their will, which has one of the most progressive and liberal abortion laws on planet Earth. Like most other countries, especially in Europe, have way, way, way more restrictive abortion laws than the United States. And the leftists will tell you that if women can't have abortions, there'll be lots of rape and incest cases where the women have to have the babies because they were raped and there was incest or the life of the mother is at stake. But like anything else, if the conservatives, if the right says, okay, fine, we'll give you rape and incest and life of the mother, we'll give you those, but that's it. Do you think they'll be satisfied? Do you think they'll be happy? Well, of course not. Because it's never about that. They argue the fringe, but take the middle. So don't let any leftist tell you, oh yes, it's really, we just are out for the health of the mother. BS. BS. They are not. They don't care about the lives of the mother. It's funny because they say that, if we don't uphold abortion laws, there'll be a lot more people dying. Well, actually, that's not true because abortion kills just about one person per abortion. And I became very pro-life, or you could say very anti-abortion, because pro-choice is not pro-choice. It's pro-abortion. Let's not get it twisted. They always use fake words and words that don't mean anything. Oh, it's women's health care issue. It's not. It's the right to kill a child. And like everything the left can't just be satisfied, right? The right will take a victory, and they'll leave it alone. The left can't be satisfied. They have, in some states, in a decent amount of states, they have abortion up into birth. Like 5 seconds before the baby goes down the birth canal, you can jam a syringe into the baby's head and suck its skull out. Sorry for the graphic details. That's what happens, kids. This is an adult issue. But yeah, and by the way, how much different is that child 5 minutes before they're born as opposed to 5 minutes after they're born? The answer is not much. They can certainly survive outside the womb. And I got so much hate when I talked about this before, but in Virginia, the governor at the time, blackface baby killer, Klan robes, Ralph Northam, was ready to pass a law that would allow babies born alive to be aborted. 4th trimester abortions. Ronald Reagan said it's very biased to people who are pro-abortion, because 100% of people who are pro-abortion are born alive. Statistical fact. It's way easy to say, oh yes, I'm for abortion. Well, you're alive, so easy for you to say. But they always say, oh, the women's health care, or the life of the baby, or this or that. They don't care about that at all. And the reason I became very anti-abortion was when I was in college. I knew somebody came over to my place, and they were talking about what they did that day. And it was very, very matter of fact. In essence, they got up, brushed their teeth, had some breakfast, had an abortion, went to work. That was their day. Like, it was the third most important thing they did that day, but aside from, the third most important thing they did that day, after, having breakfast and brushing their teeth. It was really, really messed up. And, like everything else to the left, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Bill Clinton said, safe, legal, and rare. We want safe abortions. We don't want back alley abortions. We want legal abortions. People don't have to hide, and they don't have to be worried about it. And we want it to be rare. Not something that happens often, but in certain situations, and maybe something that is necessary. They went from that, 20 years later, to shout your abortion, to you're not a real woman unless you had an abortion, to you can't experience what it's like to be human if you have an abortion, unless you have an abortion. It's a joke. It's a disgrace. It's a travesty. But again, they argue, oh, it's for the life of the mother, health of the mother. Okay, I said, most people, like 90+%, are okay with that. If a woman's raped, or if her life is in danger, and the only way to save her life is to abort the baby, then that's what you have to do. It's a medical decision. It's like when, 2 people are injured, and you can only save one of them. You have to make a decision, and whose life is more valuable. It's a tough decision to do every single day. Doctors have to make those decisions every single day, and that's nobody's talking about outlawing that. But abortion is a sacred right to the left. It is the most sacred right. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit, but it is religious to them. And it's really it's like abortion is like, it needs to be on demand with no restrictions. I mean, Chuck Schumer wants to put through a bill right now that makes abortion legal through all 50 states through all 3 trimesters. And I said, if they get that, they're not going to stop there. They're going to say, well, the baby's born and you don't like the hair color, kill it. If the baby's born, you realize you can't afford it. Oh, because I just lost my job and I had this kid, kill it. It's they never stop there. They never stop with when they win. They always have to do more. So it's not a healthcare issue. It's not healthcare, because at least one of the people is dying in the situation. So it has nothing to do with healthcare. And of course, it's abortion is it's like an unwanted pregnancy. Or an unplanned pregnancy. She didn't consent to having a baby. Did she consent to anything else? Because if she wasn't raped, like 1% of abortions are from rape. So 99% of them are from something other than rape. Well, did the person who could get pregnant, did they consent to not taking birth control, to contraception, to just abstinence? I know, it's crazy, right? Just sleep with as many people as possible. No, because when I grew up, they didn't preach abstinence. It was some, but it was also like, hey, you know what? Don't sleep with somebody unless you really, really like them, because it's possible you could have a baby with them, and now you're tied to them for life. So only sleep with people you really have feelings for. Don't just sleep with any single person who's on the street. It's so, abortion is actually not empowering to women at all. Women just withholding sex is more empowering. Don't just give it up to any guy who asks. And guess what? If the baby is born, the man should be held accountable too. Absolutely. There are plenty of options. I'm all for those options being explored. Absolutely. For sure. But killing the baby should be like the last resort. And there's so many stupid arguments on this, right? There's so many stupid arguments. Left has so many bonehead arguments. Like, no uterus, no decisions. You don't have uterus, you can't decide. Oh, really? 'Cause I thought a woman wasn't defined by her parts. All of a sudden it is. All of a sudden men can't get pregnant. I thought they could. I thought like 5 minutes ago we were putting emojis on the iPhone with pregnant men to not offend the people who identify as men who are actually women. It's so weird. I thought men could get pregnant. What happened? I guess not. When it's convenient. So many arguments, and none of them make any sense. I could spend all day going through all their arguments. But nothing's true. It's all fake. Like everything else, politics. Get people scared, they'll vote for you. Tell them the other guys are going to kill you. The other guys hate you. They're racist. They want to bring back. Joe Biden's saying they want to put Mitt Romney wants to put black people back in chains. True quote from Joe Biden about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is, he was marching in Black Lives Matter protests, because he's such a, hateful guy. He's worse than vanilla. Yet he wants to put black people back in chains because he's a Klan member. It's just insane. But again, the pro-aborts, the hardcore lefties, they're all miserable. None of them are happy. You think any of them happy? No, not even a little bit. They're not even a little bit happy. Somebody was in the protests, and we're gonna get through all this here. There's so many different aspects of this. There was a protester who was protesting abortion, and they asked her what she was protesting. And she said, I think women should have the right to choose. They shouldn't have to get pregnant without their decision. Well, again, a lot of decisions lead to that pregnancy. Not just one decision. You don't just say, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm pregnant. I didn't want to. Well, there are 7 other steps you could take to alleviate that opportunity, to make that less. But just screwing everything that walks is a good thing. And guess what? It's not good for men or women, by the way. It's not men should be able to be players, women shouldn't be. No, neither one should be. Stop being a bunch of whores. But she said, yeah, my mother had to have a baby, and she didn't have it. She was from the South at the time, and she couldn't have an abortion, and so that's why I was born. And I really wish she would have had an abortion, because it would have been 57 less years of BS for me. And that tells you all you need to know. They're miserable. They would wish they would rather they were dead and not alive. So you should be the same. It's really messed up. We're taking our political cues from people who would rather be dead than alive. Okay. Interesting way of going at that, but I guess that's fine. And here we are. Welcome to Crazyville. So the two other aspects of this Roe v. Wade thing, and the reason we think Roe v. Wade may be coming down is because the draft of the decision was leaked. Yes, I said that correctly. You heard me correctly. A draft of a Supreme Court decision that's not finalized was leaked. Now, of course, the left is blaming the right is blaming the left. But the right doing it makes very, very little sense. And of course, all the media is saying that, of course, it was something on the right. And of course it wasn't. Of course, there's no reason to even suspect that it would be something on the right. But regardless, the left is accusing the right, and it seems like it was probably somebody in Sotomayor's camp. Because Sotomayor is a very, very hard right wing or hard left wing, like psycho, like lunatic. Doesn't understand really law at all. I don't know where she got a law degree from. Probably a Cracker Jack box. And she's an idiot. She made so many stupid comments over the years. It shows she's an idiot. But of course, she's Hispanic. The first Hispanic woman to go on the Supreme Court, so you have to respect her. You have to think she's great. You have to think she's wonderful, even though she's a lunatic. But yeah, so it's probably someone in her camp, because there are a bunch of crazies in her camp for sure. But the release of the Supreme Court, it's never happened before, a full draft opinion being released. And it was released to Politico, which is not a right-wing source. There's no one in the right wing who's like, yeah, I'm going to release it. I'm going to release it through Politico. So it was released, never happened before in the history of the Supreme Court, and the media's not talking about it at all. Like, the group of, we have to bring the adults back. We have to have our norms. We have to conserve the norms group. Trump's radical. He's doing all kinds of things different than what we've ever done before. We got to bring back the way we used to do things. Oh, I mean the rich politicians get rich and everybody else pays for it? But yes, nobody's talking about a leaked Supreme Court decision. It's in violation of federal law to release that. And I mean, in most legal scholars who are honest will tell you that. But they released the opinion, which has now led to protests. So it's okay to release, it's okay to release a document that's going to hurt the left ahead of time. And then immediately the mob goes out at the Supreme Court, they're protesting at the Supreme Court, and now they're protesting at the Supreme Court justices' houses, the SCOTUS houses, their kids, their families there. Sam Alito, who wrote the opinion, it was moved to hiding because he's getting so many threats. Insane, crazy, absolutely nuts, and something that we should not ever stand for. But they asked the White House, they asked the Supreme Court, or asked the White House, they asked the press secretary about this. She had nothing to say. We're not gonna tell people where they were and when they should or shouldn't protest, really, because it's against the law to protest at a judge's house or at a court to try and shift public opinion or shift an opinion of a court, to try and influence an opinion of a court. It's against the law, because people with a bunch of money would be going to protest and threaten people like they did all the time like they've been doing for years, trying to get people to change their opinion. And if you have a lot of money, you just pay the right people, and they show up and they do it. And they protest and they intimidate people, and people are scared for their lives. Like, my life isn't worth it, so I'm gonna cave. Of course, this is what it was planned from the beginning. Regardless of who knew about it, who knew about the release, that's of course what the plan was. And Biden, of course, his own vice president bailed out people rioting. So of course, they're not gonna tell these rioters not to do it. The rioters work for them. Threats were made in churches, family planning centers, not like actual family planning. Like, you're pregnant, let's figure out what we're gonna do to support this child. Actual family plan, not the abortion mills of Planned Parenthood, but actual family planning units are being firebombed. It's like, oh, fire erupted inside. Oh, really? That's weird. It's weird that all of a sudden a fire just happened to combust. Must have been all the paperwork just started on fire. Must have been really warm that day. But burning places down and protesting and all that, Biden has nothing to say. In fact, they're encouraging it openly. Trump says we need to go home now. We need to go we can peacefully protest, but things have gotten out of hand. We need to go home now and stop disrespecting the police and blah, blah, blah. Trump gets impeached for that. Biden's press secretary said, hey, we can't tell people where they should and shouldn't protest. They're protesting outside the Supreme Court justices' houses, and, we understand they're angry. Didn't say go home, didn't say stop it. Why has Biden not been impeached? Why hasn't he been impeached? Way worse than what Trump said. Oh, but Trump's orange and mean. We don't like him. Biden's a nice guy. He said he yells all the time. Nobody wants to work for him because he's an evil, miserable old bastard. But yes, let's do that. He doesn't even know what planet he's on. His wife tells him when to wave, when to not wave. They put things on a teleprompter and he stumbles through the words of them. He's not coherent. And of course, it's true. Biden's a disaster because if you look on like MSN or CNN or MSNBC or any of those, CBS, ABC, all the major networks, look at any of the major networks, you're going to see all stuff about how horrible Trump is. All the horrible things Trump did. He embezzled money, he did this. Okay, if he did that stuff, they would impeach him over something real. Like, everybody keeps saying, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. If he did, great, he should be convicted. But the fact is, they impeached him over nothing twice. If they had actual shit to impeach him on, they would have impeached him on it. They're holding him in contempt of court for not going with a subpoena because they're going to try to get him on a gotcha charge like they did with other people. They're trying to get him to incriminate himself. So he's not going to show up to it because it's not an actual subpoena. It's BS. So now they're holding him in contempt of court. Meanwhile, Joe Biden has enriched himself off the backs of hardworking Americans for his entire career. At least the last 20 years. How does he have 3 houses? How does he have 4 houses? Anybody care? Oh, his wife works part-time at a community college as a professor. That's how he has all that money. Oh, geez, I know community college part-time adjunct professors make $100 million a year. That's interesting. I'm in the wrong field. And speaking fees and book fees. Books nobody bought and he can't speak, so who's paying for him to speak? Insane. Ridiculous. It's all corrupt. And the laptop proved it, but they won't talk about the laptop. They want to silence that. Never in the history of a country has something like this happened. And it's a coordinated effort. There's no way it's not. At the very least, if it was not coordinated, people in charge looked the other way, intentionally. The law was broken. The law was violated. And there needs to be held to account. And they're saying, oh, the Supreme Court justices, they perjured themselves when they said that they weren't going to overturn this law or that law. They never said they weren't going to overturn it. They said it's currently precedent. Which is like saying the sky is blue and the grass is green. Which may be controversial now. I don't know, because we can't say boys are girls and girls are boys now, so I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, what we used to think was real maybe not be anymore. But they didn't say they were going to uphold it. They didn't perjure themselves. They said nothing. They didn't even answer the question, really. But every Republican's bad. We must stop them. Don't pay any attention to what's actually going on. Don't pay any attention to the economy that is the worst economy in maybe 100 years. Because there's a lot of things that are 40-year highs. The stock market's been in the absolute gutter. But let's keep talking about Trump and mindless BS. It doesn't matter. Let's threaten the lives of Supreme Court justices. I remember a blue check on Twitter. This is a true story. Blue check on Twitter. He had a Ukrainian flag in his bio, so he's a good person. Because he had the Ukrainian flag because we stand up for Ukraine. That's all garbage too. Stand up for Ukraine. Okay, do something about it. Do something to make sure that what happened doesn't happen again. They're sending all this money to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Americans are impoverished, and there's a shortage on formula. We have no formula for our babies. But hey, abort them anyways. You can't afford them. Hey, you know what? Screw it. They're 3 months old. Kill them. Scalpel to the head. Because we can't afford them. Because why have formula? Just kill the babies. Why have babies? Janet Yellen. Okay, Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, said, oh, well, if we have more abortions, our economy will do better. More people will be able to work. They won't take as much time for kids. They'll be able to spend money more freely. They'll have to worry about kids. So, yeah, kill all the babies. And then we can make more money. We could all make more money and have more corporate greed if we kill all the babies. Yes. Yep, that's your Treasury Department for you. Abortion's good, and kill babies so we can have more money. I thought they hate capitalism until it's convenient. And they don't hate capitalism, they just say they do. They all make a crap ton of money off capitalism. They're all multi-millionaires. But yes, let's send all this money to Ukraine, absolutely. Forget being able to afford formula, just send all the money to Ukraine. Anyways, a blue check on Twitter. He's got the Ukrainian flag in his bio, so he's a good person. He's a hero because he has the Ukrainian flag in his profile. Because, that's what it means. That's what it means to be a good person. You just put a flag of another country in your profile, and you piss all over your own country. That's what it means. But the guy who went to the family planning center, a man, screaming at women about abortion, how abortion should be legalized, and they shouldn't be fighting against it, then he pissed on their wall. Yes. A man who is very, very pro-abortion should tell you all you need to know about that man. He wants to be able to bang you, and then have no consequences for it. Not even pay for an abortion. Not even have a kid. You're not even worth the seed that I'm spreading. I'm going to use you for my own personal pleasure, and that is all. If a man's pro-abortion, you got to really think about if that's a good man for you. Ladies. Pathetic. Jeffrey Tubin, of course, is pro-abortion. The public masturbator. Jerking it on Zoom while his employees are watching. On Zoom. He got suspended for a couple months and they brought him back. Because everybody at CNN is in a scandal of some kind. There's really nobody who's not involved in some sort of scandal on CNN. They all got fired, so maybe they're all clean now, but pretty much everybody got fired. And he's pro-abortion because he impregnated a coworker's daughter and then pressured her to get an abortion because he didn't want to have to pay for it and have all the problems that came along with impregnating. If you're gonna sleep with your colleague's daughter, at least wear a condom, you tool. Anyways, this idiot on Twitter, right? He tweets, anybody who's dying of a terminal illness should consider assassinating one of the Supreme Court justices. Because that way, that way they won't have enough votes to overturn Roe v. Wade, and you can protect a woman's right to choose. Well, that's certainly not calling for violence, is it? He didn't get banned from YouTube, did he? Or from Twitter, did he? No, of course not. YouTube probably banned me for even mentioning it. But he didn't get banned from Twitter. He might if Musk buys it. But you can actively call for violence against the right wing, and that's fine. But if you call a man and a woman, you can get banned from Twitter. It's very, very interesting. So it's okay. It's okay, as long as we can have the right to kill babies. And then the final argument, of course, is Roe v. Wade. They say, Roe v. Wade is very popular. People love Roe v. Wade. They don't know what Roe v. Wade is. It's like, do you like this law? Yeah, I love this law. Okay, this law says I can shoot you in the face. Oh no, it's not a good law. Yeah, people don't know anything. They're stupid. A vast majority, especially on the left. The left's a bunch of idiots. We know this. Statistics have proven the left are a bunch of morons. But they're pro Roe v. Wade because they think women should have the right to choose if they want to have an abortion or whatever. But they're anti-abortion in some situations. And the later in the trimester it goes, the more anti they are. They hear Roe v. Wade and they say, I don't want to make women not have to have an abortion. I don't want to outlaw abortions. Well, that's good because the Roe v. Wade doesn't do that. Roe v. Wade getting shot down. Do you know what it means? It means that each state gets to decide what they do as far as abortion when the abortion laws happen. Roe v. Wade was made up. Oh, it's the privacy. Government can't step in and tell you what you can and can't do in the privacy of your own home. It was a privacy clause of the Constitution. Nothing to do with anything else other than privacy. So you can't be told you can't, in my private life, I want to kill 7 people and bury them in my backyard. It's my private life. You can't tell me I can't do it. It's a decision I need to make in my own private time. That's the same thing. Same exact thing. You want to kill babies without, and it's my private decision I want to make. Oh, my private decision I want to make is to do something else, but I can't do that because it's against the law. So it's completely made up. There is no constitution. The woman's constitutional right to an abortion. There is no such thing. Nowhere in the Constitution there's right to abortion. In fact, it was very much frowned upon in the Constitution. But they wanted to make it a thing, so they made it a thing. They changed the laws. They rewrote. And Roe v. Wade was poorly decided, poorly written. Joe Biden even said so. He said it was badly written law. It is. So all it does is make abortion legal throughout the country. Now, instead of that, and it's very anti-democratic to get rid of it. You're destroying the democratic norms by getting rid of Roe v. Wade. Not leaking the decision early, not protesting and threatening Supreme Court justices and their families. No. Protesting it, or changing the law. Changing the law, and when you change the law, guess what happens? It goes back to the states. Because all laws not in the Constitution are state laws. So you kick it out of the Constitution, it goes back to the states, states make their own decisions, and people can vote on those decisions. That's anti-democratic. But threatening Supreme Court justices and leaking their opinions early is not anti-democratic. That's actually perfectly democratic. Right. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But what do I know? So if and when Roe v. Wade does actually go down, if you're a super I need abortion, abortion is the most important thing for me. I vote only on abortion issues. I don't care about the economy. I don't care if the economy is doing terrible. I don't care about pointless wars. I don't care about all this other stuff. I don't care about social issues, training the kids. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about anything like that. Only thing I care about is abortion. Okay. Well, then if you live in a blue state, you're fine. If you live in a blue state, you're fine. Because abortion is going to be there. I mean, California is going to fly people in from other states, pay for their hotel and their abortion. Meanwhile, there's a homeless problem like you wouldn't believe. And the homeless can stay there and shoot up and like that. The homeless people dying left and right from starvation and from drug overdoses all the time. Like everywhere in California. And then we let them live there and shoot up until there's an award show, then we move them. Or Super Bowl, then we move them. Right. That's fine though. No big deal. Don't worry about it. But yes, pro-abortion advocates all day. Go crazy. They want the ability to tell you how to live your life. That's what it always comes down to. It's what it always has been. That's what the mask mandates, that's what the vaccine mandates. That's what it's all been about. You know, the federalism is a good thing. Federalism is a good thing. Let states decide what they want to do. Because all politics is local. Local, town, village, city, county, state governments. People are vote. They vote nationally, but that's where the biggest change can be made. You can live in the bluest of blue states or the reddest of red states. There's deep red spots of blue states, and there's deep blue spots of red states. Because people in those areas make their decisions. And they decide what they want to do and how they want things to be done. That's it. That's what they can do. That's their right. But it's anti-democratic to let them vote on those types of things. We have to have Roe v. Wade be the law of the land regardless of what people in those states want. Because about half the states at least would ban or severely limit abortion if they were given the choice. We can't do that. We have to have one size fits all. That's why a national minimum wage makes no sense. Because how much it costs you to live in New York and how much it costs you to live in Montana are very, very different. So a national minimum wage makes no sense. Let the states decide. Each area is different. Heck, let the counties decide. Because every area is different. Every part of the country is different. It's not a one size fits all country. So by getting rid of Roe versus Wade, we literally take the power from the federal government, from a bunch of lawyers in robes, and hand that back to the people and let them decide what they want to do with it. But that's anti-democratic, apparently. So if you're anti-Roe v. Wade and you're in a blue state, it doesn't matter. If you're in a red state anti-Roe v. Wade, okay, move or take precaution. Because I know there's very few laws that are gonna say, oh, abortion's going down. We got to get rid of abortion in all cases, including rape and incest. That's not very likely in any state. Even the very strictest anti-abortion laws have some carve-outs of that stuff. And the mother doesn't go to jail anyways. The abortion doctor gets sued. That's all that happens. And of course, Eric Swalwell, public farter, mistress of Fang Fang, and the first of many losers to drop out of the 2020 presidential race, said that, oh, if we let them get rid of Roe v. Wade, they're gonna go after Obergefell, which is gay marriage, and then they're also gonna try to get rid of interracial marriage. Well, that's really crazy, Swalwell. That's really crazy. No, I mean, you've been saying that Trump's Russian spy. He's got to go. He's a Russian agent. You've been saying that for all this time. Why did anybody still value your opinion? You've lied for so long. Why does anybody take anything you say seriously? They shouldn't. If they do, they're stupid. But, oh, yes, they're going to do all that stuff. It's really crazy that you say that because Clarence Thomas, one of the Supreme Court justices who would have to vote for that law to overturn interracial marriage, to ban interracial marriage, is in an interracial marriage. So that's super weird. But you just say it. Doesn't matter if it's true. Get people fired up. Maybe somebody will shoot a Supreme Court justice and you'll be happy. Because then they can overturn abortion to kill more babies. Then they want the votes to overturn Roe v. Wade and they can just kill more babies. 60 million more babies can be killed. Thank God. I'm sorry, I can't say God. It's offensive. So everything they say, everything they're saying to you right now about this Roe v. Wade is a complete lie. It's a joke, and they're not serious people. So don't take them seriously because they're not serious people. Moving on, let's talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk buying Twitter. So Elon Musk has been trying to get by Twitter for a while. He wants to take it private, wants to fire the board members, and he put in an offer, and it was rejected at first, but then they eventually accepted the offer because it was going to give them quite the boost to their stock portfolio. And the board members, don't care about that. They don't care about the stocks. They don't care about the people who are buying, who had skin in the game. They don't care about their stockholders, their stakeholders. They just want to be woke. They want to ban people they want to ban. They want to make the decisions they want to make, and they want to control speech. And they take their hints already. They're already taking their hints from the federal government. The federal government has said they flag posts for Twitter to review. Oh, so people say things we don't like, so we have to ban them. So Elon Musk puts in a bid to buy Twitter, and eventually it's accepted. So he's in the process now of acquiring Twitter, make it a private company. And immediately, within days of this happening, maybe even within hours, Biden comes out with the Ministry of Truth, a federal bureaucracy that is supposed to combat, dismiss, and malinformation. Well, that's good. That's right in the Constitution where it says the government should tell you what to think and what you can and can't say. Isn't that right there? I think it's in the front somewhere, one of the pages. It says government should tell you what you can and can't say. Under the guise of, it might get somebody killed because words are violence. Or somebody may not inject themselves with an experimental drug because, and then that they might not expect, they may disagree with you on that, and they may not inject themselves, and now they might, not get vaccinated, let's say, right? Maybe they won't inject themselves, they won't get vaccinated, and now somebody else is going to get COVID and die from it. All right, well, that's quite the leap, but sure. There's a lot of people who are getting COVID. COVID's spreading again now. And even now in the it's warm as hell here up north. COVID's still spreading. You think it'd be warm, people be outside, fresh air, they wouldn't be getting COVID, but people they're in back of their offices are getting COVID. And it's hot, so they're inside, in the air conditioning, and COVID's spreading. But all these people are vaccinated. So many people are vaccinated. The NHL has an outbreak, and everybody allegedly is vaccinated in the NHL. How are they all getting COVID? I thought the vaccine's supposed to prevent that. But that's malinformation. That's misinformation. We have to shut that down. We can't let people have thoughts that are different. You know what? If people disagree with you, that's great. Argue it. Convince each other. Or if somebody's a psycho and they have no opinion, and the opinions are just outrageous, let them prove that by screaming it, magnify it. They hated libs of TikTok. Taylor Lorenz doxed libs of TikTok person because libs of TikTok was taking videos posted on TikTok and posting them to Twitter and Facebook. So people, it's like they say something that's crazy, we amplify it, so people are like, wow, that's crazy. That's bad. We don't like that. But we have to take what you say and we have to not let you say it. But we can take what you say and amplify it, and you sound crazy. It's really ridiculous. Like the left has to call the right names and censor them and call them racist and sexist and bigoted. The right has to play what the left says and let the left speak to win the argument. All the right has to do is use the left's own words against them. So Musk buying Twitter, is sent the left into a complete and total meltdown. Oh my God, we might lose one of the big tech platforms. They might bring Trump back on. Can you believe it? They might bring Trump back on. It's funny, all these sports teams wouldn't go to the White House because Trump was president. Now they're going to the White House when Biden's president. More people died under COVID. more racial tension, worse economy, more poverty, more crime, more violence, more drug deaths under Biden. But he's a great guy. Let's go to the White House and see him when we win our championships. Because he's a nice guy. You know, he's old corrupt curmudgeon who talks down to everybody, who says that 70 million or a third of the country is a bunch of white supremacist terrorists. He's a good guy. We like him. And of course, all the Twitter employees are saying this is the worst day of my life, blah, blah, blah. Because a guy who wants free speech is buying a platform. Who will let people say what they want to say is buying a platform. We can't play God and decide who gets to speak and who doesn't anymore. So this is the worst day of my life, said the psycho Twitter employees. Okay. I didn't even think the deal was going to go through. I really didn't. I was very hesitant. I didn't think the deal was going to go through. But even if it didn't, it was exposing who these people are. Right? Taylor Lorenz cries because she gets doxxed and people doesn't get doxxed, she's a public figure. She's a member of the media. People say mean things to her on Twitter and call her names. And she cries and says it's horrible. And then she goes and doxes a private citizen who posts up on social media that she doesn't like. And goes to their relatives' houses and digs up dirt on them. Because they're bad, you see. People we disagree with are bad. If you disagree with us, you're bad and you shouldn't be allowed to speak. You should be run from public square. Maybe even, maybe you should even ruin your life. Maybe you'll kill yourself and that'll be better for us. One less person like you to worry about. That's how the left feels. I think that's psychotic. But they wouldn't be sad if that happened. If they caused that, they would be sad. Because they're a bad person. Because they didn't get vaccinated. Or they voted for Donald Trump. They believe that America first is a policy that we should do. We shouldn't give money to the rest of the free world without taking care of our own house first. I know, isn't that crazy? We shouldn't have bare shelves and not be able to get things we need to survive, and then give all our money to other countries so they can fight wars and stuff, and then funnel that money back to the politicians through their corrupt governments. Because Ukraine is one of the most corrupt governments in the history of the world. But I mean, Musk even threatening to buy Twitter has exposed what they're all about. They hate conservatives. They hate America. And they want to censor us. They said, we haven't been censoring anybody. Oh, it's the algorithms. Oh, okay. Then why are you freaking out so much? I feel like you protest too much if you're not doing anything wrong. We're going to give both sides the same opportunity to speak. No! That's the end of the world. Why? Because if you can't censor speech, maybe people with different ideas will get their ideas out there. And you'll lose your control and your power. Can't have that. And of course, speaking of corruption and all that, I mean, obviously Jen Psaki stepping down as press secretary and her subordinate stepping up to take the role, of course. And the new press secretary, of course, is a gay black woman, right? Or at least LGBT, WXYZ, LMNOP, alphabet person, black woman. And she talked about, how horrible it was that Trump was, Russian collusion and, promoting all these narratives that were completely false. And, of course, the new head of the misinformation board, of course, the Ministry of Magic over here, she was promoting, that, Trump's a Russian cat's paw, of course, too. But she's not biased, of course. She's the head of this organization that's going to tell you what is misinformation, what's true. And, of course, all the fact checkers slant everything anyways. And this is what happens when you have a corrupt media who's embedded with the government. You have a corrupt big tech. They're all embedded with the government. They know the government will, the government's threatened to shut them down if they don't do what they say. So they're going to do what the government says. It's preposterous. It's absurd. But we can't let any other opinions come to the forefront, or else, somebody might have an idea of some, it's only bad things, when the baseball shooter, the congressional baseball shooters talking about Bernie Sanders propaganda, and just lying about Republicans, and he's shooting Republicans because because of something Bernie Sanders said. That's fine. Bernie Sanders is not responsible, which of course he isn't. But again, somebody does something against a Democrat, and it's how it always goes, right? I mean, every time there's a shooting, the New York City shooter, same thing. If he was a straight white Christian conservative, we would have known his name, address, phone number, date of birth. They have interviewed all his parents. They have been everything, and he would have been the bad guy. America writ large would have been the bad guy because America is systemically racist and everything else. Meanwhile, if it's a black man who's got mental problems and is a black supremacist, we don't even know his name. We don't know anything until a picture comes out and they say, "Wait, he looks black." Oh yeah, he's actually a black guy. Oh, okay. Whatever. But it's pretty insane that's how things go, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. The race doesn't matter unless it fits the narrative. Because if a black man shoots a bunch of people, it's the gun's fault. If a white person shoots a bunch of people, it's America's writ large's fault. It really doesn't make much sense. And but of course that's supposed to make sense. Just do what we say. Things that Biden says that are completely false, verifiably incorrect, right? Jen Psaki, professional liar, lies for him, and the media doesn't push back at all. They say, "Oh well, we like Biden, so we're gonna let him whatever he says go," and stand is true. And then somebody says, Trump says something and he embellishes it, and he, like I've said it before, I don't need to go into it again, but Trump says, "Oh, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened." They say, "Actually, it's not the greatest thing that's ever happened." And he's speaking in hyperbole, and he gives him 12 Pinocchios for saying it's not the greatest thing that's ever happened. Well, he's promoting himself. He has to promote himself because the media doesn't, right? But meanwhile, on the other hand, Biden says things that are completely inaccurate, but somebody says, "Well, it's possible that there could be some truth to it." So of course it's now true. It's the true thing. It's actually gospel. It was written by God herself and handed down. So Elon Musk buying Twitter, it's like, people always complain, that, and it's like, we really as a country need to get back to do unto others as you'd have done to you. That's really the bottom line, because everybody, we can censor everybody. We can, censor conservatives, kick all conservatives. How many far left wing advocates have been kicked off social media, off of Twitter or whatever? And of course Elon Musk is saying he's not even a right wing person. He said he identifies center left. He's a climate person. He's trying to go to space, so because the Earth is going to die. So he wants to go to space, and have people get the ability to maybe live on another planet or build a space station. He's kind of out there on that stuff, right? Fringe on that stuff. He's definitely not a right-wing person. And he said, he used to be on the center left, and then the center left moved way, way to the left. Now he's technically center right. But he hasn't moved. Everybody else, the left has moved. Of course, it's true. The party of JFK no longer exists. And that's where we stand right now. And the fact that liberals are freaking out, like having a cow over the fact that somebody who's not a complete far left ideologue, somebody who isn't one of the tech bros, isn't going to be controlling a social media platform. That somebody who could theoretically be on the political right is going to control a major tech platform. Oh, we can't have that. It's like the worst thing that's going to happen. People are going to die all over the country, all over the world, because speech is violence. Those words, sticks and stones will break your bones, and names will destroy you. Names will kill you. Names will end your life. Somebody says somebody misgenders you. Like I as much as I might love to go to Canada someday, I can't, because I might see a woman think she's a dude because she looks like a dude and call her a dude and go to jail. completely accidentally, by the way. Doesn't matter. Finally, let's go ahead and talk about, you can always look at what the media and who the Democratic Party and who the media fears the most, right? I mean, why are they spend some time on Ron DeSantis, because he's Death Santis, he's, fighting back against Disney, the woke corporations. He is, every Republican president is the worst person on earth until the next one came along. Like George Bush was literally Hitler and Satan and Pol Pot all rolled into one. And then, John McCain was that. And then John McCain got sick and was in a feud with Trump, and he was actually, the next second coming of Christ until, because Trump was Hitler and Mussolini and Pol Pot and the devil, and, of course, if it's devil, some Hollywood at least would have worshipped him, so he couldn't be the devil. I saw people tweeting that, Hitler was a better person than Trump, because Hitler wasn't mean, at least. Yeah, just killing people was at least Hitler killed people. At least he didn't have mean tweets. Like, that's just if Twitter was around when Hitler was around, Hitler would at least not been mean on Twitter. You probably would have been banned either. So every Republican. I mean, John McCain, when he was running for president, was a Nazi. I mean, he was a Nazi. He was called a Nazi. And then Mitt Romney was, white supremacist, terrorist, and then, Trump was, obviously everything that they did for him, and people freaking out that he won and he's the worst person ever because he wants to put America first and thinks that, we shouldn't import the third world to our country. It's a horrible idea, horrible. Banned from Macy's. Took his clothing line out of Macy's for saying that we shouldn't import the third world here. So every Republican that comes along is the worst, and it's really going to depend on when it's DeSantis versus Trump, if they both run to the 2024 Republican nomination, they're both going to be equally evil until one wins, and then that one will be the most evil. I mean, if you follow the media, like, it's just they're so obvious. Like, why are they still talking about Trump? Well, two reasons: A, to take pressure off of Biden, because everybody's talking about how terrible Biden is. They say, yeah, but Trump's bad because he had lots of businesses and some of them didn't do well, and he said mean things, and and maybe maybe he forgot to dot an I on one of his tax forms. He's horrible. He's the worst. We have to throw him in jail if we can. Meanwhile, all the DAs prosecuting him in New York resigned. Just FYI, because they're being forced to prosecute somebody that no crime has been committed and they can't find a crime. Anyways, I digress. So the media will always tell you who they hate, and the Democrats tell you who they hate. Who they hate isn't. They don't hate people. They don't hate the irrelevant people, right? They love Liz Cheney. That tells you all you need to know. They love Adam Kinzinger. That tells you all you need to know. Of course, if they ever ran against a prominent Democrat, they wouldn't be rooting for that person. They would be rooting against that person, because they're like they lose and they crap all over the conservatism. They're basically Democrats, so that's why they like them until they run against an actual Democrat. Then they don't like them anymore. It's how it works. So all the hate against Trump, all the hate against DeSantis, and another one person who falls in that category is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she said some really bizarre things. She said some really crazy things about Jews in the past, things like that. Do you know who hates Jews? Ilhan Omar. Do you know who said Al Qaeda is great and on 9/11 some people did some things? Ilhan Omar. She hates America. She hates Jews, but she's on the left. She may or may not have married her brother to get him help his immigration status, but of course the the unbiased information board said that's misinformation. Okay, well how? Explain how. And it's funny because the person, Nina Jankowicz, who's supposed to be running the information board now, this new created thing, of course, as soon as Republicans take over the House and Senate, they need to dismantle that immediately, get rid of it, goodbye, defund it completely, and then when we get a Republican president again, completely eliminate the board, completely eliminate it. I don't want Republicans using it against Democrats. I just want it gone. Nina Jankowicz says, "Oh yeah, she listed up things that were examples of misinformation. It was all things conservatives said and right wingers said. It's so weird that only misinformation comes from the right. Isn't that weird? But the board is not biased. They couldn't name one example of something that the left said that is inaccurate. Even though there's millions of things they've said, even the last 5 minutes, that are inaccurate. They couldn't name any of them. They named a bunch of things that conservatives said, the things that are even true." Anyways, Marjorie Taylor Greene is another one that they really, really hate. She's popular. She's definitely in the MAGA crowd, and she fights for conservatives. She fights for conservative values, and they hate her a lot. They really, really hate her. And of course, there's They always say they always hate the ones they're afraid of, the ones that they think could beat them. If they thought the person was not relevant or they could beat easily, like I said, why is Liz Cheney a hero? Because they know that the Republicans aren't going to vote for anyone. They know her career is over. She'll probably get a job at MSNBC and be like the person who they always say Tim Scott is a token black man who gives conservatives the ability to be racist because they can just point to him as because there's a black man in our party, so we can be racist. Well, that's not true, and it's pretty horrible to say that. But also, that also gives Liz Cheney would give that opportunity, that ability to the left to say, Republicans are horrible because Liz Cheney said they're horrible. Yeah, well, she was never a Republican. I mean, her dad was a moderate Republican, and she's way left of him. Her dad was pretty much a centrist Republican, and she's way left of him. So, whatever. That being said, they're going after Marjorie Taylor Greene because they know that she's the threat, right? And people don't focus on irrelevant. The media will never focus on somebody irrelevant. Either they love the person or they hate the person focusing on them, and they hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so much, in fact, that Georgia Democrats here's something that should never stand for. Obviously, they took her off they stripped her over committee assignments and all those things, and of course the January 6th committee, which is still running. I mean, it literally, whenever something's going bad for Biden, they can just point to the January 6th committee and say, the January 6th committee is investigating this. Okay, shut up. You've had over a year and you've done nothing. You've had a year and a half and you've done nothing. Like, literally nothing. We have zero answers to what happened January 6th. But every time, Republicans get that line and say, the January 6th commission, look into them now. All of a sudden, weird. That's weird. If you say Trump should run for president again, January 6th committee needs to subpoena you. Bunch of clowns. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, they hate her a lot, obviously. She's big on the Trump side, and and of course the January 6th committee is all never Trumper, hard leftists, liberal Republicans, rhino Republicans, and then of course Democrats. 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans, because the party majority gets the majority of the seats. But of course, Kevin McCarthy suggested people to put on the committee, and Nancy Pelosi declined those people because they might actually ask questions that were inconvenient for Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and other Republicans. Like they want to ask questions like, Nancy, why do we have people who are why was your security, you could have done something with the security of the Capitol and you didn't do a good job with it. And Nancy doesn't want to hear that, so she of course appoints her own people, which is, again, talk about norms. The Senate or the House minority leader gets to appoint their own people onto the minority seats of the House. But now we don't like them, so we're rejecting and putting people we want on there. Oh, okay. But yeah, they're all about the norms. They're all about doing things the way that they've always been done, when it's convenient, of course, obviously. Nancy Pelosi says I'm not putting people on the board. Now imagine if McCarthy did that. If he becomes House Majority Leader, House Speaker, and he says, I'm I'm not putting on people you want on these committees. I'm putting people I like on the committees. It would be catastrophic. They'd be calling to like have him impeached or resign, or force his resignation or something. Because I don't like these people. Because it only works one way. The justice is certainly not blind anymore. But the Georgia Democrats tried to use the amendment to the Constitution that said that if you seceded from the Union as a part of the Southern states in the Civil War, if you seceded from the Union, you cannot hold public office. If you're a secessionist, if you left the country to form your own country, you cannot be a part of the Congress or hold a federal office. So they used that clause. I think it's the 14th Amendment. They used that to try to remove her from her seat. So they wanted to remove Marjorie from the ballot because of January 6th. Because she was leading an insurrection against the United States of America. So we have to remove her from Congress and not have her on the ballot. Like, I've always said, I don't care I think anybody wants to be on the ballot should be on the ballot. Like, if you want to put the craziest lunatics on the ballot, we have a lot. If you want to put those people on the ballot, it's up to the U.S. citizens not to vote for them. Like, who are you to say who we can and can't vote for as U.S. citizens? We have to remove her from the ballot because January 6th was an insurrection, and she was a part of it. She was because she voted for Trump, and she was an outspoken Trump supporter and still is. If they're allowed to do that, I said this show is called Cancel This. They're trying to cancel people, and that's why they impeached Trump trying to impeach Trump a second time. So, maybe if he tried to run again, they say, well, you were impeached, you can't run again. I mean, it's beyond absurd, and it really, cancel people. I mean, Biden should be impeached. There have been things that he's done. He should be impeached. Throw him out of office. And then maybe Kamala can be president, and then we'll all see, Kamala Harris, speaking of Dick Cheney shot a dude and was way more popular than, like 30% more popular than Kamala Harris right now. Like, Kamala should shoot somebody if she wants to get her popularity back or something. Like, because, she is one of the least popular, it's like, herpes. And it's like you're if you ranking things right now, it's herpes, it's gastrointestinal distress, and then Kamala Harris is below that. Like, that's like, she's so unpopular. Impeaching Biden, I said, pick a number of things. There's a number of things. If you want to, see, the Democrats, I feel like they felt like they would never be out of power again because they set precedent that is like, if you really want to play that game, we'll play that game with you, but I don't think you want to play that game. If you're going to impeach somebody because you don't like them, that was the basis of impeaching Trump. There's no evidence. Again, if there was evidence of him committing crimes, he'd be in jail right now, and he's not. So, they impeach him on nothing. And now, are you sure you want to play that game? Because now that you're not in power, you're hoping to take the House and the Senate, especially if they think about any sort of majority. They really, have a super majority. They can really end Biden's career. Impeach him and convict him if they get enough in the House and Senate. They're not going to get enough. But why not impeach him? Might as well. They impeached Trump for less. And again, they set the standard. This is the standard of what you need to impeach somebody. And the standard is very, very, very low. So, they should live by their own standard. Marjorie Taylor Greene, they want to throw her off the ballot because they don't like her. That's not a reason to throw somebody off a ballot. You don't have that right. So, I want to spend a lot more time talking about cancellations, some of the great cancellations over the years since I started doing this. But obviously, we've already run pretty long, so I don't want to do that. it's just crazy that, people have to live on their own standards. If you're going to put a standard down there, you have to live under it. And because we don't like you, you're not on the ballot, that's not an excuse. Thankfully, the judge threw out the case, so Marjorie can run for re-election. And even if she was even if she was running for, I could maybe see trying to get off the ballot for just running for the first time, but she's already a sitting member of Congress. That's absurd. That's absurd. Like you said, it's somebody don't like, okay, we're going to try to get them off the ballot because we don't like them running, we don't think they should run. But they're running for re-election. She's already been elected to the position. She already holds the position. But they're afraid of her. So that's why they have. And again, she said some stupid things. I don't agree with everything she says. But it's her right to run. Especially that she's already been elected by the people. It's anti-democratic to shoot down Roe versus Wade and let people vote on it. And it's undemocratic to let people vote on electing Marjorie Taylor Greene if they want to. Right? I mean, it's you can't have it both ways, right? It's perfectly fine to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from the ballot, to impeach Trump for a phone call, and to threaten Supreme Court justices. That's fine. Protest outside their houses. That's fine. But if you shoot down an unconstitutional rule that was made up and has no legal standing whatsoever, that's against democratic norms. That's an attack on democracy. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre case, but we live in very, very bizarre times, and it's you never thought you'd see the days that we are living in today. It's really, really quite ridiculous. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Share the post, tell your friends, and spread the word. We gotta get the word out about all the crazy things that are going on, and they're not gonna get it from the mainstream media. So if you know people who are big fans of the mainstream media, share this post with them, and so they can see the truth. Who knows? Episode 30 might be the one to get canceled. A Dirty 30 cancellation episode. We'll see what happens if they pull it down, but hopefully they don't. And we'll see what happens. We'll be back with more soon, and a lot more content as things go on, right? So in the next couple months in the summer, we should have a lot more time for a lot more content, and I look forward to getting that out for you. So be sure to subscribe so you get all of it. And thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the show. Share the post. Tell your friends. Email the show, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, facebook.com. Comment right there. I'd love to post some comments, get them in the show, and have some more stuff other than me just ranting for an hour, because it's even though I enjoy it and even though I got a lot to say, if I do have more shows more often, I maybe won't have as many as long. It won't be as long, so I'll be able to break them up a little bit. But definitely subscribe so you don't miss anything. And thanks for everything. Until next time, bye, Dan.